what is the GOP going to do with the House majority? What do they want to accomplish? I mean, you go over this in a recent article, but talk about their aims at Medicare, Social Security, IRS, tax break, and how are they going to do it, which is the next, piece of it.
Yeah. So let's start with the how. So there are just certain things that Congress sort of basically has to pass in order to keep the country functioning. They don't have to pass anything at all except these things, and they can go on their merry way. And given how fractious the Republican caucus is, that's probably all that is happening. One is government spending, right? Keeping the lights on, keeping the government funded. Right now, government funding runs out in December. The expectation is sometime in this lame duck session, they will pass something all the way to the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September of next year. But at that point, there's appropriations that have to be done. And Republicans can say, we're not passing that until you defund the IRS, for example.
Got it.
Another thing that has to pass is a very stupid thing that I have to now explain called the debt limit. And what is the debt limit? Basically, the government it has a ceiling on how much it is allowed to borrow. That ceiling can be changed by Congress over the years. It has many, many, many times. But Republicans have figured out over the last decade that they can say, well, we're not passing that unless you do X, Y, or Z. And X, Y, or Z is usually cut Medicare or cut Social Security. That's usually X, Y, and Z. So
which they did under Obama, right?
Well, they tried to, yes.
Okay.
What they ended up doing is passing something called the sequester, which cut trillions of dollars of not Medicare and Social Security, but everything else.
Got it.
So if Republicans who are in charge of the budget committee have said, we're going to use the debt ceiling as leverage to get what we want. And what's funny is that the Democrats have every ability right now in the lame duck session to say, okay, the debt ceiling is now $20 kajillion. That's how much we're allowed to borrow. We can end this for all time, basically. But they have not moved to do so. And they can do that with only Democratic votes. They can use reconciliation, which is what they used for the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
They have not moved to do so, and it doesn't look like they will move to do so.
Just give Manchin another Maserati, please. Give him 3. Give him another little boat.
He is the weak link there, as you might guess.
God. The thing that's so funny to me about the midterms is like the narrative that that Democrats are like celebrating. It feels like only Democrats can do this. Like, yay, we won less, we lost less than we had planned to lose.
Yep. That's a win for the Dems.
Yeah, we're only 5 feet under instead of 10 feet under.
It's like the U.S. men's soccer team. Like, we tied.
Yeah. That's something.
That's a win for the, not throwing that much shade. But I do think you just, like, it sounds, it's all, couched in all this whatever, like, bureaucratic legislative stuff. But what we just talked about was letting rich people continue to get away with tax schemes.
Right.
And effectively, when you defund the IRS, or they go after middle class and poor folks, because they don't have the money to go after people who actually have accountants and et cetera. And then you just talked about, taking healthcare and retirement funds and Social Security away from average Americans. Like, that is their agenda. In addition to, we didn't even talk about, are they gonna make Hunter Biden a thing? Is that happening?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is outside of what we're talking about leverage and hostage-taking situations. That's pretty much the only thing they're going to be doing, which is all of these investigations about Hunter Biden or about various federal agencies that they decide are, I don't know, facilitating turning high school classrooms into kitty litter places, or whatever it is. There are going to be tons of investigations of the Biden administration. That's going to be the main work product of the next 2 years. But other than that, to the extent that they're going to pass any of their ideological agenda, it's like you said, it's going to be allowing the rich to keep money from the government, It's going to be cutting healthcare. It's going to be cutting retirement. And it's going to be trying to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. The Trump tax cuts actually expire in 2025 for individuals. Corporations, those were made permanent a long time ago. But for individuals, that expires in 2025, and they're going to try to use this leverage to make those individual tax cuts on the rich permanent.
One of those, by the way, is you can completely write off a private jet, the entire cost. I want everyone to know that. It might have sunsetted earlier than the rest of them, but that was in the fucking Trump tax cuts, writing off like a $60 million jet. Anyway, okay, so what can Democrats do in this time if they so choose? What are the openings for them?
I mean, I don't know if there are a lot of openings, but certainly they're going to be able to build a record. As you know, this is what happens when you have divided government. They're going to try to get their priorities through. Maybe it's this for that. I'm a little worried that money for Ukraine is going to be seen as so important that you can trade away other priorities. You know, as we know, the Republicans coming in have said they don't want necessarily to give a blank check to more billions and billions of dollars for Ukraine. This is a big priority of the Biden White House. Is it going to be a situation where, yeah, we'll extend your tax cuts if you give us that money for Ukraine? Or maybe it's money for COVID. Maybe that's.
Well, they already axed that stuff, I thought.
Well, but I mean, there's obviously an ongoing need. So
right. Sorry, I meant Republicans already axed.
Republicans
more
have said
money
no
for
to
COVID.
that, but they, you know, there are going to be these compromises that are going to be attempted to be struck. And so, you know, and anytime a compromise happens in Washington, you know, watch your wallet. It's usually the good idea here. So,
yeah,
we're going to have to look out for that.
The other person who actually says we shouldn't give a blank check to the military in Ukraine is Ilhan Omar, and but we don't get. We don't talk about that.
That's what's interesting, right? Is that there are going to be opportunities for transpartisan coalitions on those kinds of issues, whether it's big tech and you know, trying to rein in their power, whether it's surveillance reform. There are certain measures of the USA Freedom Act that expire at the end of December 2023. We have seen in the past libertarians and civil libertarians from the left and right get together to try to block the extension of things like warrantless surveillance. We could see that on Ukraine, on Yemen policy, you know, trying to stop money from flowing to the Saudis to continue to prosecute that war in Yemen. There are opportunities that you will see between the left and the right to try to, you know, block the initiatives of the center. Right.
But then you have now the new House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy.
Maybe. I think that's a 50-50 bet.
Has he not actually just been voted in?
No, he's been voted the leader of the Republican caucus. However, he didn't need all 218 votes to get that. He got 180, I believe, something like that. In order to become speaker, you need 218 votes. And
I see.
he don't have them right now.
I see.
He needs to get them before January 3rd. And if he doesn't get them, I don't know. We haven't seen a situation like this
before January 3rd. And you don't think they're all going to jump, like fall in line?
No, I mean, several members have already said they're not voting for him.
They're gunning for it too. Thank you for clarifying that. Well, here's Kevin McCarthy. This is what he's saying. I mean, I agree in terms of, like, you know, some of these seemingly disparate factions, but like, yeah, Republicans and Democrats could come together in the House. Here's what he's saying about someone like Ilhan Omar. This is Kevin McCarthy speaking with the Republican Jewish
the Jews.
The Republican Jews. What is the actual page? The producer was the Republican Jewish Coalition. Thank you. Yeah.
You know, I made another promise to you last time. There was this congresswoman, Ilhan Omar. That's a rightful boo. I remember what she said about me. I remember what she said about Israel. Remember what she said about the relationship. I remember it so much, I promised you last year that as Speaker, she no longer would be on foreign affairs. And I'm keeping that promise now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. So this is the same kind of blaming Ilhan Omar for and her critiques of the Israeli lobby as somehow anti-Semitic again and again as Republicans cozy up to a far right Israeli lobby. So yeah, I mean, you like, I wish we could like Republicans are like, they talk a big talk about we're isolationists, but then Dems actually put stuff up like, hey, let's stop funding Saudi Arabia and their war on Yemen, and Republicans are like, wow.
But what he said there specifically is he's going to pull Omar off of the committee.
Yes.
And he's also said that he's going to pull Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff off the Intelligence Committee. And this is sort of now an escalation of what Democrats did when they pulled Marjorie Taylor Greene and I believe Paul Gosar off of their committees. And so this is now going to be normalized, where every cycle, whoever's in power, the perceived crazies on the other side are just not going to be able to sit on committees. And I don't know where that ends, but this is an escalation of that.
And the speaker can just yank people from committees?
It was unprecedented until Pelosi did it, until it was done by a vote of
well, there
Congress.
You go. Okay, right. I mean, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments and Gosar, they're both white nationalists. Gosar is a straight up Nazi. Like, those were also unprecedented in terms of like helping the January 6th insurrection, etc. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.